Hey everybody, as we embark on this Variability Index challenge, I want to give you a couple of hints and tips that will help bring your score down. So remember, the goal is to get it as low as possible. In a race, if you get like in the 1.01, 1.02 range, you are definitely going to run to your full potential. But the challenge is, how do you get it low? First of all, you start in practice and you start in training. It doesn't just happen magically on race day, because the element of competition is going to make it much more difficult to bring that score down. So as far as a strategy goes, when you're looking at lowering your variability index, you want to have consistent power. Now, that goes without saying, you need to be steady throughout your efforts, but there is such a thing as going too low. So for example, let's say I'm riding rolling hills and I'm riding at like 60% of my threshold power. So that's not going to be a problem on the downhill or the slight downhill or on the flat. But as soon as I start to climb, there's going to be no way that I can stay within that low range. And my power is going to spike much more on the uphill. Okay, so you don't want to ride at too low of an intensity. Now, if you ride at a very high intensity, let's say you go at like 85 to 90% of your threshold, you're not going to have a problem on the uphills, but what you're going to do is you're going to have a problem coming down on the hills, on the decline. So your power is typically much more difficult to hold on the downhill, and as that downhill gets steeper, you're not going to have enough gears left, and you're going to start spinning and your power is going to start to drop. So really the sweet spot is somewhere in like the 75 to 85% of your threshold. And that will allow you to control on the uphills and then have enough to push on the downhills. And so here's where most people lose power and their score increases. Either athletes who typically are carrying more mass will have a harder time keeping their power from spiking. And so that's one area. And then also on the downhill, you can run out of gears and not have enough power to get close to what you've been riding. So it really is it's a skill that you have to develop, and it's a skill that's really important. Now, there are going to be times when you're just going to be out of power. You're not going to have any power because you're going too fast downhill to really push any kind of watts. There's not enough resistance there. So what you want to do is really make sure that when you can control your power, like on the flats or the slight rollers or the slight downhills, that you control the power. Eventually, you're going to get to a point, especially in the canyon, where your power is going to drop no matter what. But when you can control it, you have to control it. Another common thing that I've heard is, I just can't bring my power down. Well, the great thing about a power meter is you have 100% control over the power that you're pushing. Now, with the exception of climbing a super steep hill, sometimes you have to push a certain power to keep from falling over. But in the canyon, there's no terrain that's like that. So that's why I chose this particular section, because it really will test your ability to control your power throughout. So we have 2 more weeks. I'm going to be out there on Saturday, I think the 25th. And once again, I invite anybody who wants to join me. I'm going to continue to try to lower mine, and I would ask you and challenge you to do the same, because this skill definitely transfers over to race day. All right, take care.